In episode 8 of the show, we saw Paddy Considine's King Viserys succumb to the illness that has had its grasp on him since episode 1. And to be honest, I was surprised he lasted as long as what he did, because there were certainly some moments midway through the season where it wasn't looking good for him. His final moments were spent in his chamber on his bed with the comfort of Alicent, but it was here where we saw a grouping of words being spoken that had two different poles. So let's get into it. Here is why King Viserys' last words were so powerful. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. From the moment that we met King Viserys in episode 1, we knew the main things that were at his core, and that was to keep a happy, peaceful kingdom, and the same for his family. Despite the love that Allicent gave him over the years, we saw that Queen Aemma was his true love that he'd loved dearly, and due to the decision that he made during her childbirth in order to sacrifice her life in order to save the son that only lived for a few brief moments, he mourned her heavily due to the love that he held for her and the responsibility that he felt. In King Viserys' dying moments, we saw the last thing he witnessed before going back to his chamber was everything that he'd always wished for. Both sides of the family that were once divided were united and getting along for the first time in years. Viserys and Rhaenyra were dancing, which showed us that both sides were as one. And with the family getting on, it also meant that the House of the Dragon could stand strong, meaning the peace would be upkept. So it seemed as though Viserys felt as though it was time to go, and he didn't need to fight anymore, as what he'd always been fighting for was now present. However, all of this unraveled in the closing moments of the episode. Amongst his confusion, we saw him believe that Allicent was Rhaenyra, and that they were continuing their conversation from earlier on in the episode, where she asked if Viserys believed Aegon's prophecy to be true. This was when we saw him speak about Aegon and use words such as "You're the one, you must do this," the Song of Ice and Fire, it's true, the prince that was promised to unite the realm. And Alicent thought that Viserys was referring to their son being named heir, which just most certainly wasn't the case. Viserys was referencing Rhaenyra being heir to the throne, and that he stood by her for a reason. So these words are powerful in the sense that an all-out civil war is likely going to erupt due to a misunderstanding of words from a man on his deathbed, and the peace that was only just found amongst the family is going to end. However, along with this, there were some other powerful words that got spoken in this scene too. It was once Alicent left the room, we saw King Viserys seemingly talking to himself, saying "no more" repeatedly, where it then cut to black and the final two words that we heard him say were "my love," after a tear rolled down his face. One would have to assume that in his dying moments he saw his late wife, Queen Aemma, who he'd been mourning from the moment that she passed all of those years ago. We saw all throughout the show that there were glimpses that he still missed her deeply, such as when he was holding her ring in episode 6 of the show and crying over it, him mistakenly calling Alicent Aemma at Rhaenyra's funeral, and in the most poetic of ways he went out similarly to how she did, filled with the milk of the poppy, laying on a bed on a set of pillows that had the same stitching pattern as to what hers did all of those years ago. I believe that he saw Aemma when he went to the other side. As much as Alicent cared for him and gave him all that he needed, he loved Aemma like no other. And this beautiful, heartbreaking scene was made even more powerful when the visuals stopped and "my love" was the last words that he uttered. This scene was powerful enough in itself due to the sparking of the civil war and the unraveling of the bridges that had just been mended, but with the personal experience that we witnessed King Viserys go through as he was dying, it was simply breathtaking and was emotional to listen to and to watch. Paddy Considine was incredible in this role, and his delivery is one of my favourites from the entirety of Game of Thrones. I'll miss watching him on screen every week, but I'm so glad we got to see him as King Viserys. So, there you have it, why King Viserys' last words were so powerful. If you want to see more videos on House of the Dragon, such as endings explained, theories and predictions, and character breakdowns, then click on the I button, or alternatively you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. If you'd like to give me a show or movie that you'd like me to review, then head over to my Twitter, @brainpilot_, and tweet me what show or movie you'd like me to review next. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. Were you a fan of King Viserys? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.